mistake to educate women.
Because look at them. They're already like conceited and think that they know better without that stuff.
Because look at them. They think they know better without that stuff.
Yeah.
On the education thing, too, I realized you kind of have to have the love and logic of a man to protect yourself from getting too into education.
What the does that mean? Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma. First of all, I would like to introduce you to my son. His name is Frompy. We named him on Twitch, so, you know, if you want to get on the real excitement, it's there. There's a little bit of the duck about him, so I think he does take after me. Best thing about working from home, being able to look after a Tamagotchi. Hands down, wish I'd done it earlier. I thought it'd be fun to inject something a little happy and wholesome before we start talking about Jessie Lee Peterson. Quick thank you to Cassandra Beard for commenting on my review of the God's Not Dead 4 trailer, recommending and telling me about this latest Jessie Lee Peterson news, but also curse you for making me watch it. Jessie Lee Peterson, if you're not aware, he podcasts and has a radio show where he talks about Christianity. That feels like a stretch, to be honest. He's extremely conservative with very traditional values. The latest shock controversy from him is having a discussion on his podcast saying that educating women was a mistake. Again, if you're not familiar with Jessie Lee Peterson, he has a history of comments like this about women. He's very distressed at the rights that women have in the modern day. I'll link a Friendly Atheist article down below. Hemant Mehta, if you like this kind of news, go follow them, go follow the Friendly Atheist. Really, really good for this sort of thing if you are interested. So I'll link that down below. That was where I found the clip from this podcast. Here's some stuff that Jessie Lee Peterson has said in the past along a similar vein, just so you're up to speed with why I feel how I feel about him. He's talked about educated women before. I wouldn't recommend you marry these educated women with these degrees. They don't make for good wives. This is from many years ago. I think that one of the greatest mistakes America made was to allow women the opportunity to vote. Before we start, I want to point out Fox News criticised Jessie Lee Peterson for his statements on women. Fox News, if you want a clue as to how extreme his views are. So I know that Jacqueline Glenn has done a video on the same topic. I haven't watched it yet because I didn't want to colour my opinion before I actually looked over the clip. But I will link down below a debate that she actually had with Jessie Lee Peterson a long time ago. I don't know how she sat through it so calmly, but it's a great example of what Jessie Lee Peterson is like when he engages with people that he disagrees with. He doesn't listen. He doesn't try to understand or empathise in any way. He just talks over and tries to pigeonhole people into being in a certain position so he can be like, haha, and so you're evil and hell, ha ha ha. It's so frustrating. So we're going to take a look at this clip from his podcast. It's Jessie Lee Peterson, and then 3 of the crew from the show. I don't know what their credentials are beyond podcasting and radio hosting. I'm confident that none of them are sociologists, I don't know, historians, anyone remotely qualified to give an interesting and insightful answer to the question of, was educating women a mistake? There is a moment where they are so disrespectful about a particular instance of violence against a woman. So if you don't want to hear, it's like a few seconds long, you can skip past if you want. But if you don't want to listen to that or you think that will upset you, then take care. Let me get my headphones and let's watch this nightmare clip, because this is what I do for fun.
I want to know, was it a big mistake to educate women? Hey.
Yeah.
So why was it a big...
And then they had to cut because there was so much silence. It's like, my instinct is like, maybe they was awkward at the question because it's like, oh, we're gonna get in trouble for this. But then if they're on a Jessie Lee Peterson show, they know that's gonna happen. Like, it can't be that much of a shock. I just love that there was so much silence before one guy, I guess Hank, said, yeah. And then we had to cut because there presumably was more silence. Carry on.
Mistake to educate women.
Because look at them. They're already like conceited and think that they know better without that stuff.
Because look at them. they think they know better without that stuff. Just incredible. I'd love to know the research you conducted to reach such an incredible, complex answer. 'Cause look at them. Women are all conceited. And they... Yeah, look at them. Ha ha ha. Women are all conceited. All of them. Education's only gonna make it worse. Why? His answer to Jesse Lee Peterson, for some reason, he's not interested in providing his own answer to the question. He's just like, yeah, it was a mistake, right? Why? And like forcing these 3 random dudes, again, completely unqualified to talk on the subject, getting these dudes to explain it for him so that he can be like, exactly. And the reason that we got for why is it bad to educate women? Because they're already conceited, and that's it. The implication being an education makes that worse. I'm quite confident that good education does the opposite, makes you more understanding and empathetic because you know more about the world and the different people in it. But, you know, I'm just a stupid, conceited woman, so what do I know?
Not only was it a mistake for women to vote, it was a mistake to let them be educated as well.
So that, again, is just Jesse Lee Peterson rehashing what he said in the past. It was a mistake for women to vote. It was also a mistake to educate them. And he, for some reason, is only bringing this up in a way to be like, and you agree with me. And so the other dudes can go, yeah. It's like he just, all he wants out of this whole discussion is for somebody to validate him. It's really weird.
Amazing. You say?
Yeah, it seems like it.
The globalists want women to be educated.
That's this guy in the bottom right. That's his entire contribution thus far. It seems like it. Just incredible radio. Who wouldn't subscribe to this podcast to be able to listen to these incredible insights from the best men of the age? Fuck me.
Amazing. You say?
Yeah, it seems like it.
The globalists want women to be educated.
I know.
Remember that Malala? That one girl?
Mahalala.
This part really fucking disgusts me. Why is it always these really conservative, douchebaggy types that take the piss out of people's names that aren't like Western? Remember Paul and Morgan? It's the same fucking thing. There's something about that. It's like, haha, funny name different to how our names are here. Ha ha ha. They're talking about Malala Yousafzai. It's just so gross. It makes me so angry to hear people. And again, she's so incredible that this kind of bullshittery would be, I'm sure, water off a duck's back, like, in her life. But it still makes me angry that they have the gall like they're better than Malala Yousafzai. How delusional do you have to be?
That one girl?
Mahalalala.
She got shot in the face by some Muslim radicals.
Mahalalala.
She's like a 13-year-old Muslim girl. She's been 13 for like years. And she got shot in the face because she wanted to be educated.
So let's just break down what this fuckwit is saying. I'm sorry, I am so snarky today. Given what they've just said, please forgive me, but I feel like you'll understand. So he's talking about Malala. Incredibly rudely and flippantly, considering this is some fucking dude that works for Jesse Lee Peterson, and she's an incredible Nobel Prize laureate. Malala Yousafzai, incredible activist for education for girls. She was indeed shot by the Taliban. She started sort of undercover activism when she was 12, 13, so I guess that's where that comes from. She was actually 15 when the Taliban attempted to assassinate her, which is amazing how somebody could talk about so flippantly. I don't know where this she's been 13 forever thing comes from, but men like this consistently call me a kid. I don't know, maybe it's a way to infantilize women and make their discussions seem less significant. Just a theory. So what this guy is suggesting is that it's Malala's fault for wanting to be educated and not the men who tried to assassinate her. Let's just take a moment to appreciate that these 4 Christian evangelicals are siding with the Taliban. That's what's happening in this discussion. Taliban were right. She wanted to be educated, so they shot her. What was she thinking? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
On the education thing, too, I realized you kind of have to have the love and logic of a man to protect yourself from getting too into education.
What the fuck does that mean? You have to have the love and logic of a man to protect yourself from getting too into education. All of the scientists across the world with PhDs, they're just too into education. They're ruining the world by curing diseases and, making huge strides in technology. And you need to have the logic of guys like this fucking prick. You have to have his love and logic to not be too smart and get too educated. This guy on the bottom left has said nothing. For some reason, he's sat in perfect profile. Wouldn't it be weird if I did all my videos like this? It's not really relevant to the discussion, but it is strange.
Is it a mistake to educate women in America?
Well,
here he goes.
In one sense it was, but I mean it was done on purpose for nefarious reasons.
He's finally been convinced to talk. In one sense, but I mean it was nefarious. For what purpose? What group does he think is in on this conspiracy? Was it all women? This is some kind of QAnon thing where there's some group behind ruining the world and step one is to allow women to go to school? What are you thinking? Think it through. What are you saying?
The quality of everyone's life. Again, we are living in a really nice society. We have all these nice things. The quality will continue to go down and down and down until we're literally in hell, unless we turn this thing around.
The quality will go down and down until we're literally in hell. The world will be so shit that we will be literally in hell. First of all, what does that mean? From a Christian perspective, what the fuck does that mean? Does that mean that everybody will end up in hell because we lose our Christian values? Or does it mean the world will literally basically be hell because it will be so crazy? And he's like, society is great, we have all these nice things, but it's going to continue to go down and downhill as long as women are educated. And it's do you think that giving more people access to education has not been some small part of improving society to what we have now? I'm going to prove that in a minute, by the way. The whole discussion, if you can call it that, is very Jesse Lee Peterson. It's just four dudes being women's rights is bad because, yeah. So let's be the bigger man, so to speak, and just look at a few of the incredibly important world-changing events that were a result of women being educated. Seeing as these four gentlemen couldn't come up with reasons better than, 'cause look at them. Let's actually use some sources and some facts, shall we? My desire for sources, incidentally, comes from my education. To be fair, they would probably see me, find out I have a master's, and be see, that's why she's how she is. Educated women then. Marie Curie. Everybody knows her. She studied at the Sorbonne. She became the head of the physics lab there, pioneered research into radioactivity, and that is the second woman in this video to be a Nobel Prize winner. Hong Kong scientist Cao Lan Wu is a particle physicist who discovered charm quarks and gluons, don't ask me what those are, and then helped change the entire course of history by helping discover the Higgs boson particle, which is arguably the cutting edge of modern science. Rosalind Franklin, British chemist, studied the properties of carbon, instrumental in the war effort. She discovered there were two forms of DNA, was subsequently offered a 3-year scholarship at King's College London. Macy Jemison, first black woman in space in 1992. Before even entering the space program, she was a medical doctor who served with the Peace Corps. Catherine Fries, incredibly influential scientist studying dark matter. She is the director of Nordita, which is an institute for theoretical physics in Stockholm. We could go on for hours. I'll put some sources in the description. So we've established that educating women can lead to specific leaps in science. I want to delve into the specific question that Jesse Lee Peterson asked, which is, was educating women a mistake? And the answer that the three men gave, which was more or less, yes, it's ruining society, or yes, it's going to ruin society. And I want to look at the actual impact of educating girls, because how else do we answer this question? Well, if you're these three random douchebags, Jesse Lee Peterson's crew, let's be fair to them, they probably shouldn't really have been asked this question without being able to do some research beforehand. Jesse Lee Peterson springing this on these guys as if they have the knowledge in their back pocket isn't really fair. Regardless, none of them said that, I would need to do more research, because that would have been totally fine. Oh, I'm not sure Maybe this is my opinion, but I would need to do more research. None of them said that. They all just went, yeah, because duh, ha ha ha, women. So let's look at some more actual facts. So this comes from The Circle, which I will share down below because they do amazing work. First of all, preventing child marriage and early pregnancy. With 12 years of education, The Circle says, girls are up to 6 times less likely to marry as children compared to those who have little or no education. Estimates show that if all girls had access to secondary education, child marriage would drop by 64%. I hope beyond hope that these wankers are against child marriage and would consider this. In certain countries, doubling the percentage of students finishing secondary school would halve the risk of conflict in the local area. If all children in low-income countries completed upper secondary education by 2030, per capita income would increase by 75% by 2050 and advance the fight to eliminate poverty by 10 years. If all girls received the proposed 12 years of fee-free quality education, the frequency of early births would drop by 59% and child deaths would decrease by 49%. Studies also suggest that post-primary educated women are 5 times more likely than illiterate women to be educated about the risk of HIV and AIDS and know how to practice safer sex and prevent infection. Educated mothers are also more likely to vaccinate their children. So let's look at the positives for educating girls. Lower the rates of child marriage, halve the risk of conflict, improve the economy, speed up the fight against poverty, decrease early births and child deaths by a huge percentage, decrease the number of people contracting AIDS and HIV, increase the number of vaccinations. In fairness, I am aware that these 4 men, for want of a better term, I have used several terms to describe them already, they did not do any research before coming to their conclusions. I'm quite satisfied of that fact, but I would like to see what they say when presented with the actual outcomes and statistics on educating girls, on increasing the number of children that are educated and the length of time they're educated for. Because I struggle to imagine anyone being willing to admit being against those things, being against fighting against poverty and child deaths and people getting HIV and AIDS. It's kind of a no fucking brainer. Let's be honest, what educating women really achieves that these men actually object to is helping them grant independence from men. That's what they don't like. So I will say a mildly sarcastic thank you to Jesse Lee Peterson and his 3 cronies for reminding me about the Malala Fund so that I could donate to support education for girls around the world. And I will put a donation link for you so you can donate too if you would like to, even if it's just to spite Jesse Lee Peterson. I think it's worth it. Let's see if we can get a little bit of good for the education of girls out of Jesse Lee Peterson standing against it. I think that would be kind of wonderful. So there we are. I promise the next video, which I already have planned, is going to be stupid and fun. I talk about a lot of serious topics because I care and I want to try and do good in some small way and it interests me and I like to talk about it. But it can be stressful all the time. So next time we're going to look at some stupid stuff that makes me laugh. It will be good. I need to clean up Frumpy. He has done a poop on the floor. It's terrible. Thank you so much for watching. Do leave your thoughts down below. And if you're a woman, I'd be really interested to know how the education you've had has affected you, what good things have come from you being educated, or even if you're a guy or somebody else, then how education has helped the women in your lives. It would be really awesome if we could fill the comments with positive stories about the impact of education on women. How cool would that be? So yes, thank you so much for watching. As always, I would like to give a huge shout out to my giant chickens over on Patreon. Aaron Reece, Amber, Chick-fil-A Death Fries, Conla, Chicken Maximus Lions, God damn it, Conla. Fulcrum, Izzy, Lady Ray, Lizzie Gale, Lucy Lamprell, Manny, Mr. Creosote, PMD Slut, Taxman, and Ghost Butterfly. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all your support. Really, really appreciate it. Most importantly, have a very lovely week, and I will see you really soon.